Hello, welcome to Watercolor by Scarlett. So today we are going to do this. We're going to start off with some of this. I'm going to explain how this works, and then your class assignment is to fill a sheet, and we'll do some of this at the end. I'm going to do a few of these with you. Obviously I haven't done all of them. We're going to fill a sheet with all these little flowery things. They're all in different directions. There's a point to that, and I will explain it all right now. So today I want to talk about form and direction, and I was going through some of my sketchbooks and I was going to toss these, and then I thought, you know what, these are actually really good examples of how I figured out how to create something, and so I wanted to take a moment and try to run through and show you what I did and how I worked through, or my process in figuring out which direction a flower should go and how I'm going to draw that flower. So here are some finished examples, or some intermediate examples. I realize this one's a little harder to see, and then here I've sketched out the same thing. Now, if I grab my sketchbook, I think it shows, yeah, okay, not that one. This one I'm going to be doing for you guys in a few days. Not that one, not that one, not that one. Hold on, where's the flower section here? Flowers, okay. So here's a bigger example of what I'm talking about. Say this one goes here, whereas this one's coming straight at us, and that one's going back the other way. Okay, so that's the only example I pulled out right now of flowers. So what I've done here, these are dahlias, or you could also say maybe they're chrysanthemums, but either way, I don't like chrysanthemums, so I probably didn't draw them. So what I'm going to do, using a nice black marker, so you guys can see what I'm doing, is initially I want to figure out where my images go, or my flowers. So I know this, I'm going to copy this and try to show you what I'm doing. So this one goes straight the other way, so I'm going to do a circle, and then I'm going to draw a nice cross in the middle to show me where the center is. That's the center of the back. So now my stem would be here, and then from this point out I would draw, you know, here I've got these little guys, okay, and then now this is a much simpler version, but the petals, okay, are going this way. Now if you wanted to, you could come back and do all your other little petals, etc., etc., which is what we've done over here. Now let's say we're going to do one that's looking up. So what I've done here is, instead of doing a circle looking forward or away, we're doing more of an oval. Okay, and then I know in the middle it's here, so let's draw our X to give us to kind of give us a flattening. Okay, so here I've come in and I've done, that's the center. So these are the little pieces that are going up in the center, and then from there, staying within that outer circle. Now if I did it in pencil, I would erase it, but notice how this is different. Up here, they're all the same. They're all the same, like this is going to be the same length as this, right? But down here, because the direction is different, because of foreshortening, the front and the back, and just give me a sec while now let's imagine that's actually a proper circle, because that's really important. There. So see, the front and the back are squished. They're foreshortened, whereas the sides would theoretically be the normal size. But because it's turned, it's not. Now this is where the center is, so my stem, and if it was in pencil, okay, you might even draw your dots in to give you an idea of where that's going to go, and then you might come back later and actually draw your line. Now obviously up here you wouldn't see it because that's the underside of the image, or of your flower, but it's good to know that it actually connects to right to where it wants to go, or here, right, this is our lovely stem, etc. So now with this one, I've got a circle, okay, and this one's really hard. Now to do your X, it's kind of like this. And because that gives me an idea that this is the base, and now from this point they're going to go up. Now, tell me if this actually makes sense, guys, or if I'm just confusing you. So this one's going like this one's going like this one's, it helps if I do better circles. Okay. So if it was a 4-petal, let's figure out where the center is. Ooh, in that case, maybe it's in the back. Maybe here it's in the center, and here it's over here in the back. So let's give this one a stem. And we have 1 petal here in the center, 1 petal there, 1 petal there. Okay, here we've got, and again, it helps if you go all the way to the ends. And then coming out of there. Now this one I want to put it at one edge, for example. And for this one, like this. So does that kind of make sense? Now here, if we put the stem on the back, or if we put the stem on the front, let's put the stem on the front. Which is hard to see because it totally overlaps one of the petals, but yeah, but this can be really, really helpful. Also, we can get more details. So maybe we have the oval, but we really want to see the bottom. So now we've got the bottom here, and we're coming up and up and across. Okay. This is one of the ways when you're looking at a flower and you're not sure how you want to draw it. If you're like, does that flower look at me? Does it not? If you can take your image, or you can take a photo of your flower and kind of, or even just look at the actual flower and kind of figure out, is it going this way or this way or this way? And notice the foreshortening that's happening. So full circle, it's getting a little more squished. Back to full circle, a little more squished. So if we were doing that kind of circle, it's kind of like this, right? With the center here. So our flowers are folding inward. Now with shading and other such things, you could really emphasize that, but they're folding inward. They're not folding the other way. I hope that made sense, because I think that's really important. Okay, so for today's class assignment, I think a really, really great idea, and one that I like to do. I haven't done it in a long, long time, but sometimes in the beginning of a season, when I'm a little rough because, you know, winter's happened or something, I will sit down and do exactly this. I will draw a whole bunch of circles, and I'll try to pay attention to where they are and the different shapes that they are. This is going to be a bouquet. Down here we've got the vase. Okay. And then maybe we'll come along, decide where they're going to be. Where's the base? Which way are they looking? And then I'll go ahead and draw them. So for today's class assignment, class assignment is to fill an entire page with circles. Not like I've just gone ahead and done the vase here, but really fill a whole page with lots and lots of flowers. Okay, and then take your time and sketch them in. Now, if you do this on normal paper, and then later, if you love it, you can come back and do it on watercolor paper, and then you can paint them. And painting in these little guys is so much fun because it's such a tedious thing to do that it makes for a really good practice. So you've got, I like to start with the centers. I'm not sure if I've been doing that, but it does help a little bit. And also if you roll the inner parts. These would be like bluebells or snowbells, that kind of like that beautiful spring kind of tiny dainty flowers that we see a lot in the spring. Now this one's really close to the edge, right? So there's just a little bit there, whole bit there, whole bit there, and a whole bit there. And that's it. This little bit kind of disappeared just because of the way it was foreshortened. Ta-da! Also, if this is a glass vase, then we would see the pieces down here and we'd see some water. And there we go. Yeah, so when you're all done with that, then go ahead and get your brushes and come back and fill them in. Now this is not watercolor paper, so that's not going to work. Okay, so bear with me for a sec because this book is really old, but I know for sure we did one of these in here. Pretty sure it was at the back, so let me just, oh, there it is. Ha! I didn't finish it either. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. See these bazillion little flowers? Is that not the coolest thing? Like, it looks really cool. Okay, so I'm going to paint these in with you. Let me just get set up and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've sprayed my paints. I'm just gonna grab a quick brush here. So I started this like, I don't know, 2012 maybe? Like a long time ago. This book is from a long time ago. But sometimes it's fun to just play around and to pick up something you did a long time ago and see where you are with it. Oh, that's not good. What is going on? My brush is just falling apart on me. Wow. Huh. That's weird. Okay, we're gonna stop pulling that. Pull it all out. Alright. So this is wet paper, or sorry, dry paper and wet brush, so it would be wet on dry. So I'm just taking my time. I don't know about this brush. It seems like all the bristles are falling out, which is weird because I've only used it twice. Because it's so tiny. Yeah, I'm like, it's really, they're definitely coming out on the end, so I'm going to hop to a more expensive one that I know won't have that problem. At least I hope not. Haha! Staying tight. I mean, I just lost like half the brushes, half the bristles. Okay, let's pick up the color. Then I want to get that initial wash down, and then I want to come back and do a little house cleaning. Clean up my edges. Okay, now if you don't want the two colors or the two petals to mix, then go ahead and skip to the other side. In this case, I'm just doing the outline and then I'm going to fill it in, but really do it any way you want. It's very good brush control. I have not painted in a long time. It feels like forever, although it technically isn't. But it's good to do a practice in that case. I know the pencil line is up there, but I'm not sure. This one is behind. So do I want to follow the pencil line, or do I want to just make it up as I go? Now there are brush techniques that will just do a big swoop, but this practice isn't about the brush technique, it's about getting going and learning or practicing the shape. So that one, right, the center is somewhere here. It almost looks like it's kind of facing down. It's facing like this direction. This is a little bee, that's very cute. Whereas this one is facing up. or down. Actually down, not up. Here's one. Can you guys see, or is my hand in the way? It's always tricky because I'm always trying to paint so that you can see, but then I'm not really painting from the best angle, which makes it all a little more difficult. That is alright. Okay, so how are you guys doing? Did you get out your paper? I assume you did, and you're not just watching me do this. If you didn't, stop this video, go get your stuff, come back, set up, and we can paint together. I'm not going to paint forever, obviously, but I do recommend taking the time to do this and having some fun with it. Go slow. See, from the first one to this one, I'm already improving, and I've only been doing it for 4 minutes. My brush control is better. Filling in is better. Also, the placement on the paper is a little easier. Be nice if it was on a flat surface and not over a book. That's not good. In fact, I'm on a book too. Let me just move this book underneath so it goes down a little lower. And maybe. Okay. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. You know when you're trying to write on the very last line of a page, but it's so hard because the book is so thick that it just all feels wrong? That is what this was feeling like. Now, can you guys see that there's two tones in here? One side is dry and one side isn't. If I leave that and let it dry at different rates like that, because the outer edge is already dried, but the center is not, then I will end up with a line. But if I go around and just re-wet those edges, then I can, it will all dry at the same time and I won't end up with a line. Any hard edges in the middle. Now, while these are little flowers and they would be really cute if they were all bumpy, I am trying to go for a non-bumpy look. Let's come right down in here. Up on the tip for the very fine edge, and down flatter a little bit at the back. Because right here I want maximum control. Now that one is redder than this, so I'm going to add touch of red here. Next, how are yours doing? Let's do maybe some blue. And then over here, oops, you know what, I filled it in, so I'm going to fill the whole thing in. So it's not really on purpose, but it looks fine. So this little one down here is very tiny. Got a little less water this time. Excuse me, a little more control over the paint. Okay, and like always, once I have the main body of the paint down, then I come back and I just clean up the edges and bring them out to the fullness that I want them. In other words, sometimes I like to paint something a little smaller and then later make it bigger. Instead of making it too big, having an issue, and having to make it bigger, because you end up, if you have an issue like a bump or something you want to get rid of, you end up making it bigger and bigger and bigger. That can be very frustrating. So this is our center. Now that it's on, I'm going to perfect them a little more. Make sure their shapes are right. There we go. So it's kind of like the stem goes this way, or maybe the stem goes this way. The fun thing with doing something like that is that the flower could actually be on either side. It could either be looking down, or it could be looking up and flop back. I don't know. It's entirely up to you. Drop a little dot into the middle. In fact, we can drop a little dot into this middle too. Yeah, okay, so I challenge you guys to draw all these wackety circles in all the shapes that you think you want. Make them big, make them chubby, make them flat, make them, think of a dinner plate and just turn it in all which directions and see what kind of shape you get as you turn it around, and then draw it in. Fill the whole page and take some time and go ahead and paint it in. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Scarlett, and I'll see you in the next episode. Toodaloo!